Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I thought that I would come to you with a little reading check-in and chat. This morning I thought I might do a reading vlog, but then I looked at the calendar and realized that we are halfway through April, which is crazy. And so I thought that I would just do a mid-month check-in and do a little bit of a chat and kind of catch up. I made my afternoon tea. So this is the gingerbread tea from Celestial. I'll put a photo of the tea here. And this is their holiday tea. I have a couple of tea bags left from the holiday sampler that I got this past Christmas. So I am going to just spill the tea on what I've been reading and also drink some tea. Okay, I've got my Goodreads pulled up here on my iPad, and so far this month I've read 3 books and I'm currently in the middle of 2. So I'm tracking really well, which is exciting. It's been a good reading month so far. The first book I read was How the Wallflower Was Won by Eva Lee, and I did talk about this one in one of my reading vlogs. This is the second book in the Last Chance Scoundrels series. I really liked the first one. I gave it 4 stars. This one I gave 3. And it was overall enjoyable, but I did not love the miscommunication in the second half. Miscommunication is one of my least favorite tropes, and so just didn't hit as well for me as the first one did, but that's okay. It was still enjoyable. I'm starting to get back into wanting to read some more historical romance, so that was good to kind of dive in with a book that I have, with a book series that I've already started. So I was familiar with the characters and the overall plot line, so that was good. The second book that I read was a great one. I really enjoyed this one. It was A Murder at the Movies by Ellie Alexander. This is the second book in her A Secret Bookcase mystery series. And what I like about this cozy mystery series is each individual book has its own mystery, but there's an overarching mystery. So like the female main character is trying to solve a cold case, but really her best friend's murder that's tied to this cold case. So I think when I finished this book, I gave it 4 stars, by the way. Hold on, let me talk about the book. I gave this one 4 stars. I read it on audio, which was such a fun experience. I do like the audiobook narrator and would recommend this series on audio. My Hoopla, thankfully, has the whole series on audio, which is great. But this particular series is also on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have KU, you can also read it there on your Kindle device. So I liked this one more than the first one because we had already established the town, the characters, the dynamic between everyone. I really liked it. It was just a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed reading this book and getting to kind of nestle into this town of, I think it's Redwood Grove is the name of the town. It's in California. That's one of the fun things about cozies is you kind of get immersed into a cast of characters in a small town, and it's just so warm and cozy, hence the name Cozy Mystery. But I just think that it's been a really good one for me as a new cozy mystery reader. Probably my favorite cozy mystery series that I've read so far. I know I'm only 2 books in, but I think that this series is going to have 6 books in total. All of them are out except for the 6th book. The 6th book comes out in June, I think. So I feel like I'm on a good pace, a good track to finish the series this year, and maybe even by the summer. So I think that'll be good. Part of me didn't want to continue to read the series until I knew when the last book was going to come out, because again, there's like an overarching mystery, so I didn't want to be left on a cliffhanger. So I'm glad that the next book is coming out in June because I don't have to wait too long. So that is the second book that I read in April. Okay, and the third and last book I've read so far in April was The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. This is a historical fiction, the first historical fiction I've read in several years. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I do think that I read this book a little slower than I read typically. Partly, I think, because it was a different genre than I'm used to. And also, I was really trying to take in the story. And it's a longer book. I think it's like 400, almost 450 pages. So it took me about a week to finish, which was fine. I'm not the fastest reader, which again is fine. Like, that doesn't really bother me too much. I think sometimes the comparison game comes into play where I'm like, oh, so many people are reading, you know, way more books than me a month. It would be really nice to read that many books, but I enjoy reading, and I think that, you know, taking some time to savor a book isn't necessarily a bad thing. So that was kind of my experience with this one. I read it on ebook through Libby, and then the final night that I was reading it, I was like determined to finish, and I had a couple of chores to do around the house. So I have Spotify Premium. Like, I've had it before they even added the audiobook feature. So I've been trying to utilize that more. One of the ways that I'm excited to use the Spotify audiobook feature is to use it in addition to reading a physical book. So if I'm reading a book and then I want to continue reading it, but I have, you know, stuff to do that doesn't allow me to just sit down and read, I can pick up on Spotify where I left off. And that's kind of how I've been using it, kind of on and off the past few months. So rather than listening to like a full book on Spotify audio, that's kind of how I've been using it. And so far it's been working pretty well for me. And then I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. So the first book is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. And I'm reading this one on, oh, I have it here. I kind of forgot that I had it on my Kindle, but this is the book that I'm reading. I'm about 45% through, so about halfway through, and I'm reading this on Libby. I'm enjoying it. I think what I've realized is that the writing doesn't necessarily line up with what I remember her writing being. So, like, when I'm reading it, when I first started reading it, I was like, it doesn't feel like an Abby Jimenez book. Now, the trope in the book, or the storyline of the book, is that these 2 main characters meet, and then one of them has to move home, and it's kind of a long distance relationship. But usually with Abby Jimenez's books, there's like, in the beginning, especially because this is a new book starting a new series, I believe, usually there's more background. Like, I would say there's maybe like 30-ish, 40-ish pages of background where you set up the characters, their friend groups, their occupations, what's going on in their life. And not to say that Abby didn't do that, but she jumped really quickly into the relationship, which to me can feel a little like insta-love, which is not my favorite trope. And I just kind of feel like some of the writing is a little, like, when I am finishing chapters or whatever, like, it just kind of feels like abrupt, and I just want a little bit more from the book. That's kind of what I've settled on. I just want a little bit more from the book. I've never read a bad Abby Jimenez book, so I will finish it, and I am excited to see how the story goes. But I will say that, like, compared to her last few books, this one is a little disappointing to me so far. You know, I can't speak to the second half of the book because I haven't read it yet, but yeah, it just, some things just don't, like, it's just not gelling. Like, I don't know. I have a few friends that have read this book, and one of them, we kind of came to like a similar conclusion. And yeah, I'm curious if any of you have read it and what your thoughts are on it, but I don't dislike it. I just feel like it's not what I expected it to be. And that has been jarring to kind of like reset my expectations like as I'm reading it. So I plan to finish it probably in the next couple of days. I will say I read this one right after The Frozen River, and I am like zipping through this one compared to The Frozen River. Again, like romance is really my comfort genre, and her writing in this book particularly is very easy to read through. So that's been kind of like a contrast between the last book, where I felt like I was really like paying attention and I was reading a little bit slower and all of this, and this book I'm just like zippity doo dah right on through. So that's been kind of an interesting thing to note, but I do want to finish it in the next couple of days because this book was on my April TBR, and I also have Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone on my April TBR, and that book is available on Libby right now. It's on my like checkouts, and I only have 7 days left. So I want to give myself time to read it. So I need to finish Abby Jimenez's book in the next couple of days, so I at least have 5 days to read Promise Me Sunshine. So that's kind of my game plan. We'll see how it goes. And the second book that I'm currently reading is A Salted Caramel by Amanda Flowers. This is a cozy mystery. This is going to be the first book, maybe the only book, we'll see, that I do for Amish in April, which is a prompt / readathon started by Sarah at the Bookish Knitter and Elizabeth at Lizzie Faye Loves Books on BookTube. So they're highlighting Amish books in April. And this cozy mystery is about what they call an English woman, so like not an Amish person, who is the granddaughter of Amish people. So she's in New York City, she's a chocolatier, she goes back to the small town, Amish town in Ohio, to see her grandfather who has had some health scares, and I believe she's going to take over their chocolate shop. And of course there's a murder. So far I think I'm about 30% through. I am listening to it on audio through Hoopla. I'm pretty sure my Hoopla has that whole series on audio, which is very exciting. And yeah, I really am enjoying this one too. I thought, like, on my April TBR, I picked another book for Amish in April, which was a love-inspired suspense book. I think it was Grave Amish Secrets by Patricia Johns. Yeah, that was the one that I had picked out. But then I was watching a few other people's videos, and they had mentioned the book that I'm currently reading, A Salted Caramel, and it sounded really good to me. And when I was ready to pick out my next audiobook, I did look at Grave Amish Secrets, but A Salted Caramel just spoke to me more, so I went with it, and that's what I'm currently reading on audio. It is a lot of fun so far. I do really enjoy it. I grew up very close to Pennsylvania Dutch Amish country, so the Amish small town is something that have a lot of memories of, something that I'm used to, I guess you could say. And so it's fun. I have been really enjoying it. So I'm curious to see how it goes, how the book progresses and continues. And I'll, if things keep looking up, I will probably continue the series. So that'll be exciting to have another cozy mystery series to continue, as well as the Secret Bookcase mystery series that I, had mentioned earlier in this video. So yeah, that is what I've been reading, what I have read, what I'm currently reading for the month of April. In last month's check-in, I also included what I've been watching, but I will say I haven't been watching as much this month versus last month. So I will mention what I've been watching, but it's not going to be a whole lot. But I thought what would be fun would be to include what I have kind of on my radar. So my to-be watch list, if you will, and see if you've watched any of the shows and or movies and what you would recommend. So I am currently watching the new Hallmark movies that come out this year. So I've done it through the whole entire first quarter, and the current Saturday night features on Hallmark have been a series of movies called Hearts Around the Table, and it is about a foster family, and the kids are grown now, but it's about each of them and their lives and finding love. So there's 4 in the series, and I have watched the first 2. The remaining 2 have come out. I just haven't watched them yet. So I watched Jenna's First Love and Sherry's Second Act. I like the movies. They're fine. I don't think they're bad. I don't love them. They're better than the Royal movies that I watched in March, I will say that. And I like the family dynamic. I think that's a really sweet concept, and I think that that's very heartwarming. I didn't really buy the romance in the first movie too much, and then the second one I did really like, but it felt like there was a lot of obstacles and just other things happening in the storyline that kind of took away from the romance. So we're going to see how the 3rd and 4th movies go. I do plan to watch those at some point later this month. And in addition to that, I plan to start back up with When Calls the Heart, because I haven't watched that in probably a month now. So I want to get back on that. And then, oh my gosh, I have been seeing so many people talk about Love on the Spectrum on Netflix, and it's apparently on the 3rd season, and I really want to watch it. So I think I might start that, and I'm gonna let you know what I think. Obviously gonna start at season 1, but it just looks so sweet and wholesome, and I'm just very curious. Like, I don't think it's a dating competition show, but it is a dating show. So it, I think, follows these people as they're dating. So Love on the Spectrum, it's people with autism who are trying to find love. And yeah, I think that the clips that I've seen are just very endearing, and it, again, just seems like really wholesome and sweet, and I just kind of need some of that feel-good entertainment in my life. So I do plan to start watching that. So I don't know if I mentioned it here, but I'm trying to go through old kind of classic rom-coms that I haven't seen. And which one did I watch this month? 10 Things I Hate About You. Me and my friend watched 10 Things I Hate About You. That's the movie we watched. And it was really cute. I actually don't know if I rated it. So let's just rate it now in real time. I feel like I would give it a 3.5 or 4 stars. I really did like it. It was kind of like a time warp, like going back in time to I think it was 2000 or like 1999 when it came out. So yeah, it was fun, but it was very much like a teen romance movie because it's set, they're high schoolers, and that's fine, but I wasn't a high schooler at that point. I was still, I think I was just getting into middle school, so it didn't like totally get me in the nostalgic feels, but it was pretty fun and it was cute. And I understood the appeal of Heath Ledger, who I didn't really see in any movies. I just kind of knew about him, so that was fun to kind of see him in his prime, and I understood his heartthrob appeal, so that was fun. The only other thing that I can think that I might watch later this month will be Wicked, because it's now streaming on Peacock, and my husband said that he might want to watch that with me, so that'll be fun if we watch that. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to talk about is doing spring cleaning of your Goodreads TBR. So I saw another booktuber do this. Her name is Lottie, and I really enjoy her videos. She posted one recently in this past week about cleaning out her Goodreads TBR. So I was thinking that would be a lot of fun to start. Now, my Goodreads TBR is very extensive. It needs to be cleaned out. I started with over 1,600 books on my TBR, 1616 to be exact. what in the world? That is way too many books. I will say that I use Goodreads TBR to just kind of capture a book, especially like if I'm just scrolling my Goodreads feed and I see a book that sounds interesting come across and I want to remember that it's out there, I will add it to my TBR. So it's just kind of been a catch-all since 2015, 2016. And that is how I have amassed over 1,600 books on there. So I started this on Sunday night and I am down to, oh, hold on. I have to look because I want to make sure I give you the most accurate number. Okay, I'm down to 1167. So about, what is that? Like 450, 475 books have been eliminated from my TBR. I went oldest to newest. So I've been going through the oldest books that were on there first, which has been helpful because a lot of them are titles that I would no longer want to read. Also, it was early on in my romance discovery where I added full series of books by authors that now I wouldn't read because I don't necessarily like that type of romance. So just my reading taste have developed a little bit more, and it just kind of felt nice to kind of shed that dead weight of books that I'm not probably ever going to read. So yeah, I'm going to continue that. It will probably take me like a week to go through and really, I'm not going to be able to sit down and do it all at once. Like I did like an hour on Sunday night, and then I'll probably, whenever kind of in the mood, I'll just go back to it and continue. So I just want to encourage you guys that if you have never done that and it's springtime, spring cleaning, you might want to just reevaluate what's on your TBR and make sure that it's books you actually want to read. At least that's going to be my goal. So maybe it'll help you, and we'll see. Maybe at some point I'll do another reading vlog in the future and let you guys know where I landed. But I think a realistic goal is probably to get it down to like 700 or 800. And that would purge about half of the books on my Goodreads TBR. So that's, pretty extensive. So maybe not. Maybe I should just say under 1,000. We're just gonna see. I'll report back. Who knows? But yeah, I think that is everything that I have for this reading check-in. And I hope you guys are having a good month. We've been busy here the past week, so thank you for allowing me a little bit of time to get some filming done and get this uploaded, and hopefully I'll get back into the swing of things. But I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're reading a really good book. And until next time, I will talk with you soon. Bye.